Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Shooting the Shift. That's Matt.
Well,
That's Bryn.
I'm wearing a hat and Bam isn't.
That's Milton. And I have finally pointed in the right direction for everybody at the beginning of an episode.
only taken 23 episodes.
Hey, look, the 22 before were just dry runs, all right?
Long dry run.
What, Milton?
That's a long dry run.
Says the man who had a dry run that lasted a whole season last time he competed.
He did good.
I did
He
alright.
didn't win, though, did he?
Well, I was going against Mantas, and Mantas wins everything.
He's European chief. Actually, no, isn't he world champion?
Yeah, he's world. Because Grid is... No, Grid
Yes.
is Europe.
Yeah, Mantas
European.
is fully lubed up at all times.
He's back in the UK now. Mantas really annoyed me. He sent a video to one of the million group chats that I'm in, because that's how the world is, of his car. He's been in his homeland building a new car. I don't know if he's released it yet, but it's awesome. But he came back to his supercharged one. He started up. He's like, "Oh, excuse the dirt." The car is still shining so much I could see the cameraman. He's like, "Excuse the dirt."
And it's red, which is...
Yeah, it's red, and you can clear as day see the logo on the cameraman's t-shirt.
Sounds about right.
But it was dirty.
So we're off topic already. Great start.
Yeah. Well, no, we're not off topic. We can't be off topic if we've not told them the topic yet.
Yeah.
Proof that this is why I'm Matt's boss in our sales roles.
I'm just going to drink like this.
I mean, technically we are on topic because if you've read the YouTube description and the title of the video, you'll know that we're off topic.
Well,
Milton, why are you trying to get sponsors that aren't alcohol based? What are you doing?
Because you can't drink alcohol while racing.
I can.
You shouldn't. Juice. Bryn, sponsored by Robinsons.
Blackthorn.
So actually talking about that. So
What's today's subject?
today's subject is what cars have got the worst reputations.
Cars or manufacturers?
I think we're talking cars, manufacturers, and drivers of those brands. I think we can break this down into 3 topics. Right? And I'm going to open the bidding for the cars with the worst reputation with one that I've had one of myself and can confirm it is an acronym and it does stand for Fix It Again Tomorrow. Fiat.
Yeah.
I've not had any bad experiences with it. I've never had one.
I owned the Punto
Yeah.
and head gasket went.
Punto.
I mean, I did pay 400 quid for it.
Punto. 3 gearboxes, 12 months.
And I can
Yes.
believe that because my neighbour's Punto lost 3rd or 2nd. One of
Mine was a Mark 1 Punto. I owned it for 3 months and the head gasket went.
Yeah, the Mark II was my return to modifying cars. That was very short-lived.
Isn't that the one you shoved a Bath interior in?
No, I shoved the interior from an Alpha 147 into it.
Ah, that's it.
It was a interesting.
So a car with even more reliability, yeah?
Yeah, and actually
Yeah.
that moves us. That probably segues us nicely on to Alphas. Now, I could forgive Alpha reliability issues, right? I reckon I can forgive those on the grounds that it is an Alpha.
Yeah.
Are they
I've
as
never-
bad? Go on, Matt.
I was going to say that well, it's probably kind of overlapping your point is I've never really had any experience with an Alpha, so I don't know whether their reputation is as bad as unreliable, is as bad as people make it out to be.
At the
That's
time
what I
I
was
had
gonna
the
say.
Fiat, I had a friend with an Alpha that was off the road more than my Fiat.
Well, that's why you don't know
Yeah.
about it.
Is that
because
just
you
old
see it
cars?
in a while.
Yeah, Bryn has a point. If it's not reliable, it's never on the road, so you don't see it.
Can't see them broken down if they're on the driveway already. So
True.
What's
But are they as bad as people say, or are they just? Is it rose tinted glasses and all
I
other
think-
cars are fine? And do you know what I mean?
I think no, because I think with a lot of things, like we know owning old Jap cars, right? Just don't take them out in winter. Just don't, because of the salt.
Yeah.
But imagine
the
if you treated an Alpha the same way you treat the Jap car.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
the
they've just
Alpha, the
it's
Alpha's mechanical.
It's mechanical stuff with European cars. I tend to find
Yeah,
more
because
than anything.
Jap stuff lasts forever, but because they don't salt their roads, they don't build them out of the same metal that the Europeans do. So we put them on our salted roads and they just rust away.
There's only one thing for it, boys. We need to take our MX-5s and put them inside Mark 1 Golfs.
They rust too.
Yeah, they really rust.
Could
Oh,
put them in this.
So
I'm out of
if
ideas now.
Well, if we're talking about unreliability and Jap cars, I'm going to mention rotaries.
Aren't they as bad as people say?
Yeah.
I think part of the reputation that rotaries have has come from the RX-7, mainly because that had a few design flaws, and they tried to make a rotary for the masses, and what happened there was nobody knew how to look after a rotary. So if you move it off the drive, don't just start it for 5 seconds cold and then turn it off again, and all that sort of that you're not supposed to do. Because I've got 2 examples. Our friend Nick bought a non-runner for 400 quid, and it was a block cat, so he hammered the cat out, and then it worked fine for, I think, 2 years. And during those 2 years, what he did was all the things that you're not supposed to do to a rotary, so he could kill it and have an excuse to take the engine out and rebuild it, and he couldn't kill it. It was still working when he took the engine out.
Yeah, they have hot start issues when the compression starts to get low and they just won't restart. And he just used to turn it off in traffic and then try and start it again and see if it would.
And he just kept doing it over and over and over, and it just kept going. And then we've got our mate that's had some issues with his FD, and it, for one reason or another, it's basically been sat off the road for 2-3 years now. But for the last year, it's 12 months, 18 months, it's not been started. We went round there, checked it out, put some 2-stroke in the spark plug holes, fired up first time, no hesitation at all.
I think it's very much a case of how you you can kill any engine if you don't look after it.
And I think that's the thing, is rotaries need a little bit more looking after. They need a little bit more servicing. And they need certain things doing to them and not doing to them that you don't do to piston engines.
Yeah, like revving the nuts off them just before you turn them off.
Yeah, you do want to rev them anyway. Like Nick swears blind. The people that have it, there's all the thing about, they eat seals and they carbon up. And the reason that they did that is because people bought the RX-8 and sort of pootled it around and they don't like that. Whereas we have a friend that bought one new. The car's now on 80,000 miles and it's a track car. So it gets absolutely thrashed to bollocks. And the compression is good as anything because it gets thrashed to bollocks all the time.
So I think getting onto the general concept of Japanese performance engines, like my stage is on 266,000 kilometers, and Matt's been out in that. That does not miss a beat.
No, but that's another example. Is our RB engines? I've heard people say are unreliable.
The
26 oil and all the rest
is Bryn
but it's one of those
mentioned this
things.
before. There's a couple of design flaws, but the 25s are actually a pretty solid engine.
Yeah, but if you just do a few more oil changes compared to what you normally do, then you're fine.
I haven't, because I've barely driven it for the last year. I haven't changed the oil in 24 months.
But isn't it also how far you push it power-wise?
Yeah.
I mean,
If you only push it a little bit, it's fine.
running factory power, but then in all my cars, I run that Lucas oil stabilizer stuff that I swear by.
I need to get some of that for the rotary.
I absolutely swear by that.
I mentioned this in our group chat the other day, and I couldn't remember what it was called, but I plan to run that through the rotary.
Bryn, what does that do?
I don't know. I haven't looked into
Basically, it makes the oil a bit more clingy. So it moves through the block and the gears quicker on cold start, essentially.
And if you put it in stuff like your gearbox, it clings to the the teeth. So when you start it up, it doesn't ever get dry.
Because I've got shockproof. I run shockproof oil in my gearbox because 5-speed.
Trying to keep it alive a little longer.
But anyway, back to
the RB a second.
Yeah.
So that that one thing about those, quite a lot of things, is there are specific design flaws that people have discovered with some cars and engines. And the RB and the CA have the same specific design flaw, which is they keep oil in the head too long. The drains to get oil out of the heads into the blocks are not big enough. And sustained sort of high throttle, motorway,
drifting,
reasonable high revs, they just can't breathe particularly well. If you've got gas blow by coming out the bottom of the crankcase, it has to get up into the head to get out. But the oil is trying to get down out of the head, and the holes aren't big enough for both of those things to happen in the RBs and the CA. So they suffer from just keeping oil in the head, and then the bottom end gets starved because there's not as much oil as there should be. And this is a specific problem. I mean, you can see it if you look at an RB block. The drains are tiny. An MX-5 has got a much bigger drain on it, and that is a small engine. But people have got around it, and I like this. This is one of my favourite. There's 2 plugs in the back of the head, I think, just core plugs from when they make it from the factory. And you can just remove those and fit a pair of big fuck-off -10 lines down to the sump. Job done. Problem solved.
It's always good when it's real simple.
And it's
like people find stuff like that.
That's the real thing, isn't it? Like, reliability wise, I can't think of a Jap car. Like, if someone turned around to me and said, "I'm gonna get a 1 litre micro from my first car," I wouldn't go, "Don't do that," because they just go on for what?
They're indestructible.
Yeah. Mechanically, any Jap car goes on forever.
No.
I can think of exceptions.
I can testify to the Jap cars because we've got the Mark II at mine, and it hasn't been started in 6 to 8 months, and before then it was just parked up. I put the battery on. I didn't even put a jump pack on it. 3 turns to the starter, started up, and it ran and idled perfectly. It's been sat there for...
My 5, so getting onto that, like, things being stood for ages. My 5, I sent you guys the video the other day, and I went up to the workshop for the first time in like 3 months. Clipped my jump starter pack to it, and she just fired up first time.
Well, I did the same. So when I bought Nicole's first MX-5 for her, it was a non-runner that had been sat for 4 years, from what I could tell from MOT history, and it was one of the later Mark 1s, so it needed a new ECU.
Yeah.
So okay, throw a new ECU on it. I did the brakes all round.
Why did it need a new ECU, Matt?
Immobilizer. So the later Mark 1s. The immobilizer's in the key, and then there's a little ring in the box, and then the ECU, and they're all tied together, and nobody's found a way of unlocking it, bizarrely. So you just throw a whole new key set at it.
Same as a Mark II thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
The only other way around that, if you've got the original key, is to change the ECU for an aftermarket one, which I was never going to do. So I changed all the ECU and everything, put a battery on it, and it fired immediately. It missed a little, so I gave it a good service, changed all the brakes and everything. Flew through an MOT, and it ran flawlessly for 6 months until it got right enough.
But that's, I think, as I say, I think
mechanically, the answer is MX-5.
Mechanically, the worst cars I've owned have been European.
But I mean, the Japanese don't always get it right. Like, conversely, you've got Nissan with the SR20 that, like, I don't know if the reputation of SRs is as bad as they get, but I can tell you, everyone I know who's ever owned an SR has killed one. So there's some data there.
Yeah, but in what medium are they?
Yeah, that's the thing. They're being used hard, but I think they're possibly not the toughest engine, or people just do stupid things to it.
I've got a point, but sorry, Bram. Because how many times you hear of Jay-Z's blowing up? Yeah, they're mostly the reliable engine, but either they don't get blown up because they're being serviced and new parts are being thrown on every round. So that's why they're not blowing up. Whereas an SR, people just go, oh, it's only an SR, chuck oil in it, you carry on.
I think JZs are generally pretty well designed as well, apart from the fact that the front falls off. That's a thing. The pulley just yeets itself off the car. That's a flaw. But if you know about that flaw, you fix that flaw. Same with the RB head starvation issues. As long as you know about the problems, you can get around them. Apart from if you own a Subaru and your ringlands will just leave you one day.
Right, so there's a car, right? So let's this is a prime opportunity. Like, we've done the last 15 minutes of this episode already on like just mechanical stuff, and I think we just settle on the fact that Fiat and Alfa are bad mechanically.
Yeah.
And then we've kind of got to look at, right, like the reputation of owners, right? And
Particular car brands.
Bryn has brought us beautifully here with Subarus.
Oh, yeah.
So what I want to know is, are the rumours about keys in bowls true? If you're a Subaru owner, let us know in the comments.
I've never owned a Subaru, so I couldn't tell you.
Wait, I thought you were about to say. I thought Matt was about to go, I've never owned a Subaru, but I still put my keys in bowls when me and Nicole go parties.
I've got a friend who owns a Subaru, and he does have dogs. So there's another.
Dags. Ken Block likes Subaru, so maybe that says something. Is that how
I
you
was
get?
going to say, there's a lot of Subarus in Birmingham, so that kind of says something.
There you go. Right, there's a place. Right, so while we're on the subject of things with bad reputation, if you are car shopping in England, just don't go to Birmingham.
Or Luton.
Yeah, good shout.
Well, just London in general.
No, go to London. London's got some interesting bits. And no speed bumps because of all the performance vehicles.
Yeah. If you don't put speed bumps in your low emission zone and you own an Aventador, you can go there, but you have to pay an extortionate amount to do it.
Yeah, but if you own an Aventador, you can afford that extortionate amount because it's not that extortionate.
While we're on supercars and reputations, a lot of supercar drivers can't actually drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if your car was worth like 600,000, you would drive it like your nan.
No, I wouldn't.
But the thing is,
every
time you see somebody leave a meet in one of these supercars and they try and give it some and get sideways, they crash.
Yeah.
This is precisely why I don't drive when offered. Every time I get offered to drive the Ghost Outlaw, I just go, no, not doing it. I am not doing it because I am not capable of being a responsible human being.
Why do you think I took my Mazda off the road?
Why do you think I never put mine on the road?
Yours was on the road though, the green one.
The original
supercharged one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the
Supercharged
one
one never saw the road.
The one that you can actually get into trouble with. No.
Yeah, that one.
I think that's the thing. Like, MX-5 owners have got two reputations.
They're getting worse reputation at the moment as well.
Yeah, but you've got right, MX-5 Owners Club. They love chrome.
They like clean cars.
I think that's
they
an
love chrome
in general.
They love chrome, and they definitely hate me.
I did rock a MX-5 Owners Club sticker for a while. It said MX-5 OC hates me. It was a running joke that Combustion Punks had with them for a while.
This is all Owners Club do, right?
That colour combo is far too exciting for the Owners Club, Milton.
Yeah,
no, but I'm just. It's just they're constantly cleaning.
But the thing is, I think it depends on what kind of Owners Club. If it's an Owners Club like the MX-5 Owners Club, they're an Owners Club.
Boring bunch of old people.
I was going to go down the route of original concourse level cars, which if you go to one of their rallies, it's nice to see like a mint condition Mark 1. But then parked next to it will be a mint condition Mark 1 coated in chrome.
What I love about going to MX-5 Owners Club rallies, whenever I do go, is seeing Factory R Limiteds dotted down every now and again, and then just seeing mine.
Yeah, I had
And
that
knowing
with my
knowing
drift
that there's at least one old lady there that hates me because they normally pass comment.
Yeah, the first one I ever went to was the one I met you at, and there was an auto solo.
Was
sort
that
of,
the auto solo where I had to take my sponsor's T-shirt off because of a comment
Yes.
I made? Yeah.
Yes, that one. And I think it was like 3 runs, and I think I had my second run of 3. The last one I got completely lost at the other end of the track, so I just did a rolling burnout all the way across the course, and there was this wave of smoke that just went over the rest of the rally. So, they're probably haters for a reason.
Was that little puffs, wasn't there?
Was that the same one where Mazda had brought was it the Mazda 2s they brought along to test drive in?
Maybe. They usually have test drive cars at every rally.
Yeah, they brought something along, and you had
I
to
think
go
it was
out.
like 2014, something like that.
You had to go out. You had to go out with an instructor, and we're not going to name the sponsor because I did cause a fair amount of trouble at that particular rally that year.
What does a sponsor rhyme with?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they just walked up to Mazda and were like, "Yeah, just let him have a go out in one on his own. We need to get him off stand for a bit." And of course, then I started lapping old people who were doing like 20 mile an hour in the little car, pootling around.
Yeah.
No, and then the other side of MX-5 ownership is you just got hoodlums and yobs like me.
There's a few, unfortunately. I think you're right. There's no other people who just like the car, and it. I used to be before I realised I was being silly in it, and I would just sensibly drive it, but everyone used to think, look, oh, he's an idiot.
They see somebody in a sports car.
Yeah.
I say sports car. You know, it is a sports car, but
It is a sports car.
They see that sort of car and just assume you're a boy racer of some description.
I mean, Milton is really clearly still a boy and a racer. He fits the definition.
Yep.
That
applies to a lot, and that brings me nicely onto Ford Fiestas.
No. We are not going to Ford Fiestas with boy racers, Matt. I have 3 words.
McDonald's car park. Underage.
Limited edition Corsa.
I think STS are worse now.
I think no. So you are right. Corsas is where it was.
Yeah,
sort of
now
like early 2000. I think they've all transitioned onto EcoBoost Fiestas with pop and bang maps.
Okay.
Because they could get financed on them.
Because I don't see that many modified Corsas about anymore, unless it's a VXR.
I don't see. Yeah, but this is the thing. I went to Ultimate Dubs, right? And I was walking through the car park, and I don't see a lot of stuff as modified anymore because I'm from the Max Power era, and it just looks like all it is wheels and air to me 90% of the time anyway.
Well, this is the thing. I look at a car that's like lowered it on anything, and it's got some wheels on. It's like, okay, is that it? If that's it, then technically it is modified, but we don't see it as that because we live in a world of engine swaps and turbos and all the rest of it.
Colour changes. You go to a meet and it's just a wash of white or silver or black cars, and with just different various 50, 52
and actually that gets us to the next part of this, right? And it is really difficult to modify your car when the bank owns it.
Yeah.
Like, and I get why you don't do substantial structural stuff when the bank does own your car. But then there's another element of that I've seen creeping in lately, and that's the hate for people who have an older car that the bank doesn't own, that do a lot of work to it, and them still go, well, it's old, so it's useless. And that gets onto what me and Bryn were talking about a while ago, about that throwaway culture that's entering the community. A couple of episodes back, Milton. He's trying to... Bryn...
Right to repair.
The topic, because we've gone well off it now.
We've not. We're still talking about the drivers of the vehicles, Bryn. We're still on that bit. We've not got to the car brands yet, and I know you're desperately wanting to get to car brands as quickly as possible.
No, cool.
Give us another 5 minutes on this, yeah, and then we'll move on to your preferred topic in this episode.
I haven't got a preferred topic.
You
but
have.
as long as we're all agreed that anyone who puts a pop and bang map on their daily is a full-on nonce. That's a fact.
Agreed.
Yep. Bryn, you need to take out one word. Daily. Just the rest of it was pretty accurate statements. So do the statement again, but take out the word daily.
No, but if you've got a little bits of pops and bangs and it's actually your interesting weekend car, I'll let you on a Saturday. If I hear pops and bangs, that's okay. On a Monday night, I mean, come the fuck on.
I mean, you've heard. Matt's heard the Stagia disappearing down a road before.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
Building.
But you don't go lift off. But
what you also don't do is when you're in slow-moving traffic, deliberately leave a gap, and then in first gear accelerate really hard up to the back of the traffic, and do that every time the traffic moves.
Don't I?
I do remember distinctly being on the motorway once in the rain. I think there must have been a car meet on because there were a group of lads in cars, and there was one in a VW Polo that kept stopping and doing little wet weather burnouts with his front wheel drive. I just sat there looking out the window of my MX-5 I mean,
what are you doing?
Fucking get a life. Drive into that lorry at high speed.
Well, as fast as you can manage.
But
so 3 miles an hour.
But on that note, I think a certain amount of it is just how drivers behave in cars, right? And some of it is a stereotype, in the spirits of unfucking the scene a bit here, and not being part of the problem that we always say we're against. There's other stereotypes as well. Right, my favourite thing in the world is when I get a stereotypical BMW driver up the arse end of the Stagia.
Do you know what?
Just because they think it's an old Volvo, because they don't know cars, they've just gone out, they've bought a BM, and they think they're the dog's bollocks now.
On finance.
Yeah, and they get right up the backside, and then I drop it down 2 gears, it shoots fire out of the exhaust, and fucks off into the distance.
I like it when people try to get on the backside, especially when I used to have the Volvo.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't used to do it because they used to thought it was an undercover police car. But I used to love it if they didn't think that. They'd get really close, and I would just slow down even more because I had an old Volvo, which is a tank. They're not going to write their car off because I would just slow down, just ease off the throttle, just wait. And because it had loads of torque, I'd keep going down the gears. As soon as I went to overtake, I'd floor it, and then they'd be next to me, and then...
You are 50% of the problem with drivers on the roads today, Milton.
Yes.
No, if
you're that kind of driver.
No, because I had to slow down to a more appropriate speed, so if there was a stop, that we'd both have enough time to stop. What if a child came out in front of us?
Down the M6.
Yeah, on the M6.
On a slight tangent, that actually does kind of work. If somebody gets up the arse end of you, don't brake, but just slow down a little bit, and usually they back off because I think they suddenly realise, actually, I'm quite close there.
So suddenly the speed limit on the motorway is 68.
But you say BMW drivers, and BMW drivers.
BMW, Audi, and Merc.
I would like to say Audi drivers, shout out. You've improved. Audi drivers, actually, I find recently are a little bit more considerate and they kind of pay a bit more attention. They usually want to go fast.
Do you know why that is, Bryn?
Why?
Hang on, let him finish his tangent.
I'll let him finish. All right, I'll let him finish tangent and then I'll tell him for why.
No, you tell me for why, because the tangent.
Because all the arseholes that could afford an Audi are now buying Teslas on finance.
No, they're not, but we're getting there.
I'm not done with BMWs yet.
Oh, okay, we'll go back to BMWs then.
Rewind.
BMWs on drift days.
Oh, okay. No, we'll come back to BMWs on drift day.
There is a whole episode of BMWs on drift days. Which
I
mean, probably circle to drift days in general.
More importantly, like above me, about there now is a link to our Drifting for Dummies episode, in which I was recommended to go and buy a BMW and take it to drift days.
You can buy a BMW and take it to drift day.
There's nothing wrong with a BMW on a drift day.
No, it's the pre-existing ones. It's the ones that. So if you were going out there,
I think we all know I'm not going to be part of the solution to that reputation.
No. So if you were out there, you're going to go and buy a BMW and get into drifting, and you have no idea what you're talking about. What you'll do is you go out there, buy a shitty BMW, put a straight pipe on it so it sounds like ass. Put the world's lockiest lock kit on.
Yeah.
Go out there. Go out on the top track, sit there on full lock, going nowhere, and I'll cruise up behind you in my 100 horsepower MX-5, stuck behind you because you can't drive for shit.
And a hydro, and they'll hydro on every transition.
Drag the hydro on every single transition, slowing down even more, which you can't do because I'm in an MX-5.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But that point we were going to let me finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, carry on.
Shout out Audi drivers. They usually want to go past you, but they're fairly considerate. These days, I find if I'm just cruising along happily and suddenly there's a pair of headlights that are actually sniffing my arse, 9 times out of 10, that knobhead will be driving a Jaguar XF. Shout out Jaguar XF drivers. You are the top tier of arseholes on the road. That is the little energy car, if ever there was one.
That and those that can't afford F-Paces and buy E-Paces.
Yeah.
I've got to say Jags as well, unreliable.
Are they?
Yes. I know somebody who used to work for JLR, and she happened to find an half-eaten Twix inside one of the engine blocks on the production line. Yeah, in the wrapper, just shoved in one of the engine blocks.
That's the most British Leyland ever thing I've heard.
So yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, at least she found it. That proves their quality control's all right.
She just worked in the office.
That was a testing. That was testing the quality control.
Yeah. There you go. So, no, I think like, I don't know. I'd have a Jag, Bryn. That's my problem.
No, but that's the problem as well. I like them. I think they're good. Could never own one now because I know everyone else on the road will be going, look at this twat.
Aren't they usually driven at like 13 miles an hour around the village by an old man?
So that's the other thing is if you find, for example, a Honda Jazz, you'll come up behind one on a country road, single carriageway country road, and they'll be trundling along at 40. And because it's a country road, you can't pass them because it's all curves.
Yeah.
You get into the next village that's 30 miles an hour. And what will happen is they'll
still do 40.
All the way through this village, and out the other end, still doing 40. So you slow down to 30, go through the village at the speed limit, come out the other end, and they get stuck behind them again at 40.
Yeah, the other people who do that, it's Honda Jazz owners who are a specific clientele. The other car that, without fail, will do 40 no matter where they are is... Any guesses?
Skoda.
I've forgotten the name of it. So you guess, and one of you might remind me.
Fiat Multipla.
No.
What about that Renault Kadjar?
No.
Nissan Qashqai.
No.
What brand is it?
Nissan Juke.
It's a Kia.
Kia
Kia
Sorento.
No.
The skirt.
Kia Sportage.
That's the one.
White Kia Sportage will be doing 40 miles an hour, whether it's a country road, a village, or a red light. That motherfucker will be doing 40.
Can I just also have a rant about modern car headlights?
Oh, God.
Here we go.
All the time.
It's especially the minis.
Yeah.
And we call them minis, but they're like the size of 3 double-decker buses.
Do you know what? They are brilliant cars, though, mate.
The thing I have with minis are they're called minis. And Bam is exactly right here. The John Cooper Works Mini, for example, is a fantastic car. But if they hadn't called it a Mini, it would have a better reputation. The reason a lot of people don't like it is because it's called a Mini and it's not Mini.
Do you know why? Do you know why I got one? Because I'm fat and I fit in that one.
Okay.
And that proves it's not a Mini.
Oh.
I like them. I like minis. I wouldn't own a mini.
And ladies and gentlemen, you'll discover that Matt's a bit sadder next week because his P45's turned up in the post for that comment.
How many times has Matt been sacked now?
About 20.
I said that after you called yourself fat. So that's on you.
Self-deprecating humour is different to bullying, Matthew.
Oh.
The Mini's like a Supra.
Where are you going with that tangent?
Because the bonnet is all one piece over the wings.
Oh, right. Well, I wouldn't own a Mini, right? They are a good car. I wouldn't own one. I'd love to live with somebody who owns a Mini.
So you could drive it.
Their Mini without
I've driven the classic Mini.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I never want to look at another Mini again, as for Milton says. Like, if you look in your mirror and go, my thingy's on, but I'm still being blinded. Oh, it's a Mini. Of course it is.
Even in my modern...
Even the sky.
Even a modern daylight car... Daylight cars? Daily car?
Daylight running lights.
No, I was trying to say daily.
Okay.
Couldn't speak. You're going along and it's nighttime and you can't see a thing because if you look in the rearview mirror of your own face, you could just see here it's like daylight because the car's behind us, and then your car is past you and it's this high off the floor, and it's not even lifted. It's just, and when it's next to you, you look at their lights. It's like daylight. It's how much is too bright now?
I remember
there's
first
a
time.
law came in last year for that.
Like, because I live in the middle of nowhere, right? But I remember the first time a brand new Range Rover was driving behind me in the MX-5. Yep. That is not a pleasant experience.
Wait, forget brand new Range Rover behind you. Any car coming towards you in an MX-5 is...
just in general. Because you're so low to the ground, even in standard height MX-5s. Everything coming the other way is a crossover.
Yeah.
It's weird getting into
Right, back on topic. Right, crossovers. If you buy a crossover, right, there is no reason for you to buy a crossover. You either live in the countryside and need an actual SUV, or you live in the city and don't.
It's not
Make your mind up. And more importantly, right, I am having to give up the internal combustion engine because too many of you knobheads have bought gas-guzzling crossover turd wagons, right? And it genuinely, you're worse for the planet than anything else ever and potentially should be put down.
Also, on that note, shout out to my friend Lindsay who wanted to buy a big car this week, so listed a ton of crossovers that were smaller than her Mazda 3.
This is so. I'm going to go off a bit on a tangent here because I got given as a rental car for a company that I used to work for because they send us off a meeting and they provide you with a car. And I got given a Hyundai iX35. And I was driving it. I had the spec sheet. It was a 1.7 diesel and it was front wheel drive. So there's no reason to buy it to go off road. It only had 5 seats, so it was no bigger than the i30 or whatever their Mondeo equivalent is. And the boot was about the same size as a Mondeo.
It's
so
disgusting.
There's literally no reason to buy it. Just buy the Estate i30 or whatever it was called. Because it's the same size inside, and you weren't gaining anything from being that tall.
Right? More importantly, don't buy a Hyundai anymore.
The other thing
we went when we were looking for...
Matt, carry on your point. Bam, shut up.
We parked it in a multi-storey car park, went to get my bags out the boot and opened the boot into the roof.
So when we went, but this is the other side of this crossover nonsense, right? Hyundai Santa Fe, right? They're top of the line.
Is that four-wheel drive?
Swanky wagon. I don't know if it's four-wheel drive, but it costs more than a brand new Range Rover.
What, for a Hyundai?
Yep.
So
when me and Amy were looking around, starting to look around at trucks, I said, right, we'll go to the Land Rover garage in Shrewsbury. We'll have a look. We'll see what you like. We'll see if there's anything old and used there. But also, we'll just go and play on their test track. Right? Because there's a test track out the back of the dealership in Shrewsbury. So you just go and test drive any random Land Rover for a bit of fun. And the Hyundai dealership's nearby, and she was like, it'll be cheaper than a Range Rover. Let's go and have a look. Nope.
No chance. So, according to Wikipedia, they did front-engine four-wheel drive and front-engine front-wheel drive. Why?
And I know if I'm going to spend like 50 grand on a car, or 80 grand on a car, or whatever it was, given the choice between having a four-wheel drive Land Rover or Range Rover that is actually practically useful, or the ultimate settling wagon from Asia, because the only reason you buy a Hyundai is because you've completely given up on life, right?
No, that was a Fiat Multipla, right?
No, because we discussed this in our Dream Car episodes, that Bryn would actually have one to do stupid stuff with.
The Fiat Multipla is one of those cars that's so ugly that it's cool.
Imagine a Fiat Multipla with a Nissan GT, like an R35 running gear underneath it.
Oh, what? So it could do all the driving for you?
Bryn,
There
that
we
sounds
go.
a good
There's
idea,
another
doesn't it?
one. There's another one, right? If you buy
Sorry.
any modern supercar that does everything for you, and go, I've got a performance vehicle, you haven't. You haven't got a performance vehicle. You've just bought yourself a swanky, expensive robot that compensates for your complete lack of talent and skill.
No.
A supercar does have performance.
Yeah, it is a performance car, but then if you start saying, "Oh, I'm the best driver. Look, I can do this lap time." Blah blah. Well,
That was my point about supercar.
You can't do
earlier.
this. You can't do that lap time. The car did the lap time for you.
That was my point about supercar owners earlier. They can't drive.
No, some supercar. I know some supercar drivers that can drive.
Yeah.
what's Bryn so sheepish about? Go on, Bryn.
Ford RS drift mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
There's
the
a
thing.
lot. That's a new thing that's coming to modern cars of four-wheel drive. They're all having a drift mode or isn't they?
Not gonna lie, I would quite enjoy a drift mode on the Stager.
Yeah, it's called take your front drive shafts out like a man.
Listening Subaru
But
owners.
Bryn, that front drive shaft is what makes it worth more than the boring rear-wheel drive ones.
He went so high pitched there, his microphone didn't pick him up.
There's only one option, boys. I need another Stager.
So just buy a
Take
chaser.
the front drive shaft out of your spike. Rear wheel drive toaster.
Maybe we should put a front drive shaft in the MX-5 and have a four-wheel drive MX-5.
What, has anyone ever done that? Yeah, they have, haven't they? Gingium's at Subaru running gear, isn't he?
So anyway, back to topic.
Who was we ranting about? What manufacturer?
Hondas.
Whoa. Right, what's wrong with Honda owners?
Have you met a Honda Civic owner?
Yes,
Yeah,
many
I
of
mean-
them.
We all know what's wrong with Honda owners. It's anytime you have to enter or leave a parking space, it's really important to let everyone know that your clutch is standard weight, but you drive it like a race clutch. I've never known anyone other than Honda owners.
Bryn,
to
can you
leave-
demonstrate?
And anyone with a freaking VW TDI, also not a race clutch. It's a diesel. You can just let the clutch out without the throttle. You don't need to get out of parking spaces like. And then, of course, when a Honda owner does get driving, we all know the stereotype. We all know how long it takes them to change gear, even when it's banging off the limiter, and we've all heard it.
Look, Brent, that is a standard mode in the Spike.
Huh?
So the spike is auto, right? And in the spike, I have a sports button on the side of the shifter that makes it a little bit faster. But then I have a 7-geared Tiptronic box on the steering wheel. Like, not flappy paddle, it's buttons. But I can put it into 7-gear mode and run it to the limiter, and it just sits on the limiter for a little bit and then changes. So that's standard in Hondas. Maybe it's not the drivers. Maybe it's just the cars.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure
So-
that guy's 1993 Civic that's falling apart because it's so rusty is an auto.
Why do all Honda owners that modify them think, this is a car, I need to lower it as much as possible to make it completely undrivable? Why
That's
does
not exclusive to Honda owners.
how many with other car manufacturers you see like everything like drift ones or drag ones or race drift
Because
whatever.
it's a front-wheel drive Civic. There's only one thing you can do with it.
Lower
You
it,
can
hope
track
for some
it.
ground effect aero, and drive it as quick as you can in a straight line.
Into the sea.
So while we're just on this subject,
Round the ring road.
while we're on this subject, if you go to a show, go to an MX-5 stand, they all look different.
No,
You go to most
That's
of them
not
look
true.
different. They're all different colours.
they've all got a GV lip.
They're all different colours. but-
They've either got a
And
GV lip, they've either got a
and-
GV lip and feed skirts, or a juice
Rotor
kit.
grids.
Can
and they've
I
got
finish my
rotor
point
grids.
here?
Go on.
If you go to the Honda Civic stand, you'll see a line of Honda Civic Jordans that are all yellow and they all look the same. And then you go across to the Subaru stand where they're all blue with gold wheels, just all lined up, and they're all exactly the same.
That's so that they can just claim that they got confused about who their wife was.
Wow, that was a tangent.
I mean, it wasn't a tangent. It brought us back to the point I made earlier about keys in the bowls, Milton.
We come full circle.
Yeah. It's the circle of our conversations.
Rice. The circle of rice.
I think that might need to be a sticker.
The other thing to point out, though, is how many people call things rice and then forget what rice actually stands for.
What does rice actually stand for?
Right? No,
Race-
no.
Race-inspired cosmetic enhancements.
No.
Yeah, I think that came after rice being a derogatory term for a tuner car anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know which one really came first. But
Is
yeah,
rice an
there's a
acronym
big
or is
difference.
it just...
As far as
Rice
I'm
is
aware,
right.
it's
So
just an acronym.
really importantly, that would not make sense in the context of they're ricers, or the fact that nobody writes rice with dots between the letters denoting that it's an acronym, or in block capitals denoting that it's an acronym. There you go. There's some English
I
for
mean,
you in
I
this,
don't
in
think
this session.
I've ever written rad down with dots between the letters to denote that it's an acronym.
No, but you do write it in
But
capitals.
it is an
It's
acronym.
literally on Bryn's hat in capitals.
No dots
right
there though.
Yeah.
There's no dots here either.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it's covered in sawdust.
So another one of those weeks where I'm gonna have to say to Matt, listen to the words that leave my mouth, Matthew.
Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be...
I mean, if you want to be a
Pedantic.
prick, feel free.
So look, the reality is that is not what rice means.
I think it's both things, really.
I mean, it's
come
not.
from-
I googled it and it's a term to do with cheap cars, usually from the Japanese market.
I think-
Wait,
I
whoa,
think-
whoa,
I
whoa,
don't know
whoa,
whether
whoa,
one
whoa,
came
whoa,
before
whoa!
the
More
other.
importantly, usually from the Japanese market.
That's what it said on Google.
So
Don't
what are the
blame-
alternative options?
I mean, I've seen people describe VW Golfs as JDM as so.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, can we also talk about people that refer to modifications as stages?
Oh.
I saw it earlier. I was
Going
gonna
down a
comment-
rabbit hole, yeah.
No.
some
This is the end of the episode. Once we've done this, we are not going to peek past this sequence of rants.
because they said check out our stage 2 BMW X5 and blah blah blah. Stage 3 will hopefully see us in the 10 set. I wanted to comment. If you describe it as stages,
What does that mean?
you don't know what. If you say this is the current stage is that's fine. But if you describe it as a stage, it doesn't work. Oh, I've got stage 3 tune and stage 2. It's just wrong.
If you've got a stage 3
Just a tune.
and you've only got a stage 3 tune, you've got a map on your car. That's it. So you got. Someone's remapped the ECU. Don't try and act all swanky, because what you've done is go down to your mate Brian, who lives on a get his laptop out. This is really shady because Bryn's plugged his laptop into a couple of my cars in the past.
Yeah, he's done mine as well.
But turn around to your mate Brian and go, oh yeah, just that map what you downloaded, put the stage 3 version of it on, please, mate. That is not modifying your car. That is not tuning your car. That is getting whatever your geezer has found on the internet that doesn't suit your car, because if you've done any kind of filter work, exhaust work, whatever, you're not going to have done it the exact same way as someone else. So a standardized stage approach to mapping the vehicle is ridiculous, stupid, and a waste of your hard-earned money.
Just to make a point...
Bryn, anything else to add to that?
I just want to make a point of this, that actually that would make a difference on my Mazda 6. So the Mazda 6 the diesel comes in 2 powers, 150 horsepower and 175 horsepower from the factory. The only difference between the two is the map.
Yeah, so which stage map is that, Matthew?
That's a start map. But you can have both of them.
I rest my case, court adjourned.
It's not a stage map, but if I get that done, it will make a difference to my power levels.
That stage 2 map, yeah?
But it's not a stage. What that is having your car remapped. That's it.
Yeah.
That was a long way around to agree with me, Matt.
No, he's not. Shut up.
Oh, stages.
But I do need to get the insignia redone.
Yeah, Milton needs the stage 3,000,006 map.
With my Vauxhall insignia. And Bryn, on your point of just because it hasn't got a race clutch, if I try and pull away in my car without using throttle, it will stall.
Yeah, you could use throttle, but like if you
don't need 6,000 RPM.
Or you don't need to keep blipping it.
RPM, that's what old ladies do. Don't do that either. I hate that. I'm talking like
blipping the throttle.
Yeah, just put your foot on the throttle a bit. Like
they're just pretending they have big lumpy cams.
Yeah, it's variable. You can do this. You don't have to just go Not necessary.
Why are you doing an impression of the alien from Mars Attacks?
I think I'm too young for that, Dan.
Yeah, you've lost it. Well done, you just lost us 3 subscribers.
Insert video here, because it's me.
Oh, so it's alright for you to insert them, but if I go explosion...
It'll be a sound effect or something for you all. Fear not. But that's literally, that is the noise that the aliens make in Mars Attacks. Watch the film, you 12-year-old.
I'm not going to watch the film. I don't have a VHS player.
I haven't watched the films from our car films episode,
Anyway, right. So, look. We've been watching an hour. We've done no whooshy things. I've had to bleep out some swear words this episode.
That's brave.
Someone's optimistic.
I've committed. I've really committed this week to this.
I think we need another episode just for ranting about random that infuriates us.
Right, so if you want another ranty episode where we just moan like old grumpy men, hit that like button, hit subscribe, just comment below that says, I don't know,
rant.
You should all wear cardigans.
Let Bryn rant more.
And he's been Matt.
Right.
He's been Milton.
Noodles.
He's been Grumpy Bryn. I've been Bam. And this might have been a good episode if you like people moaning about stuff.
And on a serious note, if you've got a car and you're having fun, you have fun. But don't f***ing bother me.
And cut.